Claude's controls snapped back on, and the fine print came with them. If you're just joining us, Anthropic's been pushing for binding safeguards on frontier models while negotiating government access to Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5. Then the fight widened. Commerce export controls forced a model shutdown. The government tested the safety fixes, and policymakers started circling pre-release review before frontier systems ship broadly.
This is Anthropic Pentagon Watch. Today, a lawsuit that vanished before a judge ruled, a White House framework running on one outlet's reporting, and a Claude that came back thinner. Who signed off, and what did they leave open?
From Crypto Briefing.
A legal technology company that sued the U.S. government over a directive cutting off access to Anthropic's most advanced AI models has voluntarily dropped the case. The reason? The government blinked first.
18 days. That's the whole arc. Directive to reversal. The government didn't lose in court. It walked it back before anyone in a robe could ask a single question.
Which is the useful part, honestly. The forced shutdown story we left off at moved to reversal faster than any judge could schedule a hearing. Legion dropped the suit because access came back, not because it won anything.
Right, and that's my problem with Moot. Commerce ordered Anthropic to cut off every foreign national, including foreign employees of U.S. companies sitting in offices in America, then quietly said, never mind, no license needed. No standard got tested, no authority got defined. Who benefits from never getting a ruling? The agency that wants to do it again.
So the leverage wasn't really in the litigation. Washington held the line just long enough to get what it needed, then backed off before the courts could weigh in. Towards AI's Kashif Mehmood is tracking this. So, the White House AI Standards Framework. 30-day reviews, 3 named labs, a classified pass bar. And before anyone treats that as settled policy, we're still one outlet deep. Towards AI is explicit that the sourcing is thin, and I think that's part of the story, not a footnote. A 30-day review cycle and a classified bar sound like policy. Whether they're the policy is the open question.
The piece calls it CTPAT for model weights, and yeah, that's exactly right. A customs trusted shipper program, but for AI. Voluntary compliance theater with a bureaucratic timeline stapled to it. And here's what gets me. 3 labs, a classified pass bar, and still no published criteria for what clears it. We've got a documented process now, and it still tells us nothing about who's actually deciding.
The 2023 comparison in the piece lands, though. Back then, it was a signed promise. Now it's a queue. That changes what a lab is agreeing to.
Sure, and notice what a documented framework for these 3 labs still doesn't say a word about: autonomous weapons constraints. The silence gets louder once there's finally a page to point at.
Level Up Coding with Kashif Mehmood.
On 12 June 2026, at 5:21 p.m. Eastern, Anthropic received an export control directive from the U.S. government, ordering it to cut off access to Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for every foreign national on Earth, whether inside or outside the United States. The models were 3 days old.
So Fable 5 is back. Same brand name, not quite the same model. The fix Commerce accepted is a classifier, and Level Up Coding is blunt. The classifier is the story.
Right, and here's the part that should bother the procurement crowd. The piece says the nationality verification gap never actually closed. They patched a jailbreak, not the hole everyone was worried about.
And the economics got worse, quietly. Restored access came bundled with a narrower, pricier product, and most buyers haven't repriced that yet.
Somebody signed off on targeted patch equals safe for global deployment. I want the name and the standard they used, because from where I sit, that's a business call wearing a safety badge. Step back for me. When the Pentagon calls an AI company a supply chain risk, what does it actually have to show a judge? A concrete security vulnerability, classified threat intel, or is a policy fight over contract terms enough?
Yeah, that's the question at the center of the case. Short answer, nobody really knows, because this hasn't happened to an American company before. Per the BBC, this is the first time a U.S. company has ever received the designation, a label normally reserved for foreign adversaries like Huawei or Kaspersky. The trigger here wasn't a hack, a leaked model weight, or a classified vulnerability assessment. According to Lawfare, Anthropic's offense was insisting on two contract red lines: no mass surveillance of Americans and no fully autonomous weapons. When Anthropic held firm, Defense Secretary Hegseth designated the company a supply chain risk and, per NPR, directed that, effective immediately, no contractor, supplier, or partner doing business with the U.S. military could work with Anthropic either. Defense One reported that legal experts were already calling the underlying legal theory dubious before a single brief was filed, with one source predicting a wave of expensive legal judgments.
So when it got in front of a judge, did the Pentagon show up with classified evidence, or was the argument basically disagreeing with us on policy is the security risk?
The judge's own words pretty much answer that. At the first major hearing in San Francisco, U.S. District Judge Rita Lynn appeared openly skeptical that the Defense Department had taken appropriate action. And Jones Walker's analysis of her preliminary injunction ruling notes that she wrote, "Nothing in the governing statute supports the Orwellian notion that an American company may be branded a potential adversary and saboteur of the U.S. for expressing disagreement with the government." Now we watch whether the Pentagon can produce evidence that clears that bar on the merits, or whether this case redraws the outer limits of what supply chain risk can legally mean.
If Anthropic Pentagon Watch helps you make sense of the day, take a second to subscribe or leave a review wherever you're listening. It really does help other people find the show. We'll be watching for the White House Standards Framework itself, especially whether the 30-day review lane and classified pass bar make it into the final text. As always, links to the stories behind today's briefing are in the show notes, so you can dig into the ones you want to read yourself. That's Anthropic Pentagon Watch for today. This is a Lantern podcast.